The Arizona Coyotes may be 0-5-1 in their last 6, Robin, but at least they didn't lose the Super Bowl.
You're Locked On Coyotes, your daily podcast on the Arizona Coyotes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the show, everybody. This is Locked On Coyotes, number one daily podcast on the Arizona Coyotes. I'm your host, Robin Leano, whose team actually made it to the Super Bowl.
I've watched my team go to the Super Bowl. I've also watched my team go to like two United Bowls and an Arena Bowl. Never watched my team win. Never once.
I've never watched my team win the Super Bowl. Other sports, World Series, check.
Never got to watch that either. I was 5.
And Arena Bowl, check.
I got to watch my team lose in the NBA Finals, lose in the World Series, lose in the Super Bowl. At least I haven't had to watch them lose the Stanley Cup Final. Anyway, Robin, that wasn't even my original plan for the intro. I just forgot that I forgot to talk a lot of crap last night. Except for
you're lucky I'm not,
I got fired.
Yeah, you're lucky that I'm keeping you under contract because
She's reading the terms. Like, she read the terms last night just to make sure there wasn't grounds.
You are this close, though. You are this close.
I like tempting fate. What can I say?
Anyways, I want to thank everyone for making this show your first listen every day. We're free and everywhere you get your podcast. We're talking about the Arizona Coyotes for losing yet another game because, Matt, this team just hit a wall, and now they appear to just be god-awful.
That's a great way to say it. We get to talk about them for losing another game. You know what? Let's just get through the patented goal scoring summary as quickly as possible, and we'll just look over the contracts of who's not going to be on this team in 2 weeks. So it starts off with Matt Dumba, his third from Keller and Dermott at 16:26 the first. We go to the second period. Frost, a penalty shot at 4:23. You had a goal get called back before that. Matias Ficelli is 8th from Moser and Kesselring at 7:55. Konechny is 25th. At 9:55, Kerfoot giving them the lead back 3-2 at 14:02. His 8th from Zucker and Moser. Before going in the third period, Drysdale, Lawton, and Tippett. Tippett was the empty net goal. 3 unanswered in the third. 5-3 final. Coyotes are 0-5-1 in their last 6. And Robin, what was minus the first 6 minutes? They had back-to-back power plays, and it was awful. It was atrocious hockey to watch for the first 5 or so minutes. I do understand that Philadelphia has a phenomenal penalty kill. That's great. It was still bad hockey to watch. A really good 40 or so minutes out of Karel Vejmelka. A solid overall effort, especially in the first and second by the team. And then they just died. They just fell off a cliff. It was like, oh, yep, there you go. We're tied. We're not coming back now.
Yeah. To be honest, when the team was the team had I believe they had a lead at the end of the first and a lead at the end of the second. Yep. And when they had the lead at the end of the second, I was reading some social media and someone was like, I don't think this team even deserves to have a lead at the end of the second. They're kind of lucky right now.
I mean, to be fair, I watched the entire first. I watched the entire second while finishing the last 3 issues of Dark Knights of Steel. And then I was watching the second when I got back from getting dinner. And the best period of hockey I watched was that first period of hockey out of the 3.
That was a good period. It was a good period.
Minus, again, the first 6 minutes. It was one shot on back-to-back power plays. I think Philly had 2 shots on the shorthanded. So bad.
I think in general, we're just seeing a lot of it's reverting back to the same old inconsistent team that we've known from previous years.
Doesn't it feel comfy? Doesn't it just feel like you're just I'm warm. I'm in my blanket of pain. It's what I'm used to.
What's the term that we were using earlier in the season?
Was it painful mediocrity?
There we go. Yeah, that painful mediocrity.
It's just pain. It's just standard Arizona sports pain.
It's what it is, and I think this team is we knew this going into the season, and we talked about this before going into the started recording, Matthew, is I think what gave us the illusion that this team was going to be better is how well they played in the first half of the season.
Mm-hmm.
They
Very
played
well,
phenomenal, like way past our standards.
Mm-hmm. Like, and the fact that it kept going all the way up until I'd say around the All-Star break. It's still on the board back here. You can't see, but 3-5-2 heading into the All-Star break, and then just like the game or two after the All-Star break, like in the last 10, they went back
So
to
do you mean
23-23-4. So like the painful mediocrity was there for so long that they
so
gave them a nice cushion.
Do you mean to tell me? Don't want to get superstitious here, Matthew, and get any of our fans superstitious here, that they went 0-5-1, or that they went to this from painful mediocrity to just pain ever since we took a break due to my concussion.
You could say that. You could say that that's why you need Locked On Coyotes. I mean, you have
That's
plenty
right.
of meat.
You know what? You know what? We got to be more consistent for you guys. I think the more we record, the better
Who
they
is
play.
we? Who is we, Robin? I'm grinding on the streets every night. My voice is not gonna cooperate with me tonight, Robin. I can't do the high pitched stuff, over the top stuff anymore.
No. I mean, it's an interesting thought. Now, do you put it because the All-Star break? Because that's when I got concussed.
Well, yeah, because I'm looking at it right now. Their last win was against Pittsburgh on the 22nd of January. So lost to Florida, lost to Tampa Bay, lost to Carolina, lost to Vegas, lost to, overtime, lost to Nashville. Now they lose again to Philly. 0-5-1. Unless I'm missing one game, if my math is bad.
Yeah. So they were losing before that, but it was after that they started even looking worse.
It's
you know rough. What? Maybe it's just that taking that much time off just really.
The only problem is that a lot of the problems were happening before the time off, and I get it. Like the last couple of games,
I think now that it amplified because, as I've mentioned before, depending on what you subscribe to, the rest versus rust theory, it seems that here's another case in which I think rust just wins, because even then, even though you're starting to go downhill before that break, afterwards you just look even worse.
That's true. I guess it makes sense to an extent. Like the 4 goals against against Vegas, the first game back. Obviously, one was called off, but it was still 4 goals against the first period. That being rust makes sense. They fought back in the latter 2/3 of the game, and then had a more competitive game against Nashville, who, granted, isn't that great, but they're also still better than the Coyotes this year, more consistently. Kind of this game, and I know how good Philly has been, this game kind of should have been the game they're shaking that rust off. At least that's what it felt like.
It should have been. And I felt like there were pieces of this game against Philly that made me think they were going to get there, and then the penalties just killed it. And we're going to talk a little bit more about penalties and even more of how this affected the Coyotes, and later on we're also going to talk about the road. Their look down the road, see whether or not they can at least make a little bit of a bounce back. We'll do that right after this.
And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if, let's say, you bet on the Suns if they win. Bet all your favorite NBA players and teams with quick bets, live same-game parlays, exclusive props, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and shoot your shot. FanDuel, official partner of the NBA.
Let's continue things.
I like that. Good job, FanDuel. Thank you, guys. My throat's on fire.
I'd rather take that than the pounding headache that I had.
So you talked about penalties, right?
Yes.
So
let's get to that, because there were there were parts of this game in which penalties really killed, and I want to do a thing that stood out to me. It was close to the end of the game, right? And I think it just kind of like was a complete momentum killer. What delayed penalty, Philly scores, but still gets a penalty called because it's technically a quote double minor.
Yep.
No, absolutely like any ounce of momentum the Coyotes might have had before that, leading up to that, gone.
Yeah, and I was really confused because they kept showing the replay, and it's like, oh yeah, it's Matt Dumba's penalty, but they threw Travis Dermott in the box. But if it's a double minor, that means it's a 4-minute power play, not a 2-minute. So I was so confused.
Well, but 2 minutes because if you score within the first 2 minutes of a double minor, then it just drops from whatever number. So if it says like 3:30 left in the penalty, it goes down to 2, and it becomes a regular minor.
But then why wasn't Dumba in the box? Like, why was Dermott in the box? I'm still confused. Can someone explain this to me?
There were some things that were just,
I don't understand, Robin. I need someone to walk me through this, like the baby bird I am.
Maybe we'll get an NHL rules expert on our show just to explain to you how things.
You already
work.
had a former Roadrunner, and I didn't get the chance to talk. Thanks, Robin. Make sure to watch that video, by the way.
I still need the post hour of Grow the Game episode with Randy Exelby. I didn't get a chance to do it since I got my concussion, and now that I'm mostly recovered, still got a little bit of symptoms left, but I'll post it for you guys. Be sure to stay tuned this week. It will definitely be up this week. Grow the Game episode with Randy Exelby. I got other Grow the Game episodes coming for you guys in the next couple months or so, hoping to get some other, individuals in hockey in
Little
Arizona.
Side note. I noticed this Ruzicka, the new guy. They showed a close-up of him on the ice, and he reminded me of like one of those generic NHL like 23 players, but instead it was Clayton Keller's face, but like low poly, like they lowered the resolution on it and got rid of the hair. Am I alone in that? Am I crazy? Is that just me?
Hey, if you're on social media, mention us or even make a comment on YouTube, whether or not either Matthew's alone in this or not.
Matt, you're just crazy. Go to bed, old man. Thank you.
Again, you're what, 28?
I'm not 28 yet, Robin. I still got a couple months. I'm trying to hide behind my youth. I'm trying to hide behind.
I forget because I assume I've always assumed you're a year older than me. I'm about to turn 27, so.
I'm still the old one. I'm still the geriatric old man on the show.
So what happens when I turn 27 in 2 weeks?
I'm still the geriatric old man because I'll still be about a year older in like 2 months.
Sure.
My back always hurts, Robin. It sucks to wake up in the morning.
Anyways.
You want to talk about something that's more fun than this game because this game sucked?
Yes.
Do you want to talk about who might get traded? Do you want to look at the roster right now because this team's on a 6-game losing streak? They are.
Yeah, you talked about you mentioned some plays before we started recording, and I'm like, ooh, this seems like a fire sale waiting to happen. And won't be surprised if it is because realizing what's working and what's actually not at this point. And the Coyotes are still a rebuilding team. Get your assets while they're hot.
Yeah, especially since I'm just gonna say it right now, they're officially out of the playoffs. I am grateful that they kept the dream alive until the All-Star break. I am grateful for that. The fall off that we all knew was coming, but we all didn't want to acknowledge it happened. I think half the defense could be gone heading into the trade deadline because if Matt Dumba is starting to play a little better and get a couple extra goals. You might retain on that, sure, but you could probably get like a prospect for that. I would assume Travis Dermott could be someone that could be loaned out of the deadline. He's been very consistently good defensively, so there's a little bit of extra D-line depth for someone. Either Vejmelka or Ingram. I would assume Vejmelka because he only has 1 year left and Ingram has 2 more years left, and Ingram's still been better this year. I would assume one of them would still be available for the right price. And when it comes to forwards, I mean, Jason Zucker, as much as I want him on the team next year, probably not going to happen. Maybe you can sell someone on a little Michael Carcone action since they keep scratching him and a couple guys are getting healthier. Maybe you can move on from this greatly used Liam O'Brien for a 7th round pick swap. Like, Robin, the possibilities are endless.
There is. And I think when it comes to making trades, I have a lot of faith in Bill Armstrong. I've gotten to get that. I feel like so far most of the trades he's made, not all, most of the trades he's made, I've been pretty happy with. Even in the moves he's made, I've been pretty happy with. They've helped the Coyotes for the moment, and some going to be longer term help, of course. And they're each stepping stones. So I feel like whatever he does, I'm going to trust him on it. And I think those players might work in whatever. I'm going to trust the return.
I don't like how 1, 2, 3, 4. There's not a single contract on this team that's signed 5 years out, like 28, 29. I just realized that. Even Clayton Keller's contract is going to be up in like 3 years. But anyway, yeah, no,
that's
I
amazing. That's amazing thinking about that, since that at the time, I think when I first started here, I was like, oh my God, Clayton Keller's contract got 7 years or whatever. Now that just shows how long I've been doing this show for.
And to be fair, there was risk on that contract because when they signed it, I believe it was the year coming off of his slump year, or it might have just been like a decent year the year after. So we still weren't sure where he was going to be at. He's completely lived up to that contract, and that contract is now a bargain. He's done phenomenal things, but there was some risk to it at the time.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna die right now, Robin. Do you want to set up another break and then we'll
you know what? We'll go ahead and do that. What we're gonna do is we are gonna take a break. Then we're just gonna take a look ahead. We're gonna take a look at the schedule ahead, see what's coming up for the Coyotes, and see if there's any chance that this team can at least bounce back and make it look like they're gonna go down with a fight. We'll do that right after this. And today's episode is brought to you by Sleeper. It's about that halfway point in the season, Coyotes fans. Regardless of where we are in the current standings, I remember that you could win big by playing daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper, the official daily fantasy app of the Locked On NHL Network. Sleeper is our number one choice for daily fantasy sports, especially daily fantasy hockey, because with Sleeper, you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contests. All you got to do is pick what players you are going to take to win 100 times your money. You can do it alongside your friends, and beyond just hockey, you can do NFL, NBA, MLB, college football, all on Sleeper. You can talk in a group and team chat functionality, connect with other fans. Entries can be made in under a minute. All you have to do is pick whether or not studs like Clayton Keller or Logan Cooley will record more than less than their Sleeper projections for things like goals, assists, saves, plus, minus, and more in a given game. To win 100 times your bet in Sleeper, you need to correctly predict the outcome of 8 player stats. You heard me, Coyotes fans. You can win 100 times your money playing daily fantasy hockey with Sleeper. So start paying attention and nail your picks so you can start winning big. Use the promo code LOCKEDONNHL and you'll get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. Again, that's code LOCKEDONNHL. See Sleeper terms of use for details and locational availability. Let's now look ahead, Matthew, to the Arizona Coyotes' upcoming schedule. Whether or not it's...
Well, one thing I like doing when Robin's reading ads is I'll pull up notes or whatever for the next segment, and then every now and again I'll just check Twitter. There's a couple of Coyotes fans right now. I just want to live react to this because I think it's funny and I want to bring some entertainment to the show because it's going to get pretty boring with this, how bad this game was, and down the stretch of some bad hockey. One Coyotes fan said, "We're getting 0 free agents this summer, by the way. Team's going to be all prospects." And then Morello Downer, that Phil Kessel, Liam O'Brien, Zach Cassian line next year after the entire team requests trades because they're not living in Utah. The ridiculous stuff I read on the daily on this app. I am so glad it's free. I thank you, Morello Downer. Thank you for for your service to this community and for just making me chuckle at just the most random times.
See, Matt gets entertained by the most interesting things.
I just get distracted. Do you want me to? Okay, fine. I'll let you know what I was actually looking up. I was double checking a stat. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think I'll include Ottawa here. So of the next 9 games up until March 1st, the Coyotes are only facing 3 teams with less than 60 points, meaning they're only within reasonably about 3 to 5 wins of like 2 or 3 of the teams coming up down this stretch. That's a third of these games would then be winnable games because everything down the stretch just gets harder. All right, you're going up against Minnesota. They're trying to claw their way in, even though they're probably done. Hurricanes, they're going to want good positioning. Avalanche, positioning. Oilers, positioning. The Maple Leafs, twice. The Coyotes probably win those for the memes, but you still got a team wanting positioning. You have the Jets. You have Montreal, who, I mean, Coyotes versus Eastern Canada is one of the greatest rivalries of all time, and Ottawa, but like there's a lot of teams right there down the stretch that want these points, want these wins badly, Robin.
Let's remember the Coyotes almost never lose to the Leafs.
But they're due. The meme, every time a meme gets good, all right, like whether it's the Maple Leafs not getting out of the first round, whether it's such and such failing to go to the Super Bowl, whether it's even the 49ers continuously losing in the Super Bowl, eventually when the meme gets good enough and we've all had our fun and it's stale, it dies very violently. Oh, I'm sorry, did I mention the Super Bowl again? I regret nothing, but I can't talk.
Anyways, I mean, who knows? They play the Maple Leafs twice, right?
They do.
Which I am just realizing
so free
now.
4 points. Those would be a pretty nice 4 points for the Coyotes. Well, won't it?
Remember, I can control your microphone.
Pretty nice game last night.
Anyways.
Admit it, you don't come to this show to be educated on the Coyotes. You come to this show because I am constantly trying to get fired and Robin can't take me seriously. So it's just like 15 minutes of uninterrupted cackling. That's what you come to this show for. Where's the mute button?
Anyways, yeah, no. Overall, it is a really tough schedule. Looking outside, that aside, especially now that the Oilers have surged back into relevancy.
Oh my
God,
they're
heavily,
so good right now.
Which, go figure that it was the side note that it was the Golden Knights that ended it, but
then they're gonna start right back up on another like 15 game winning streak.
Funny story. Also, another side note.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a friend. I got a couple friends who are they're a married couple. She is an Oilers fan and he is a Golden Knights fan.
How does that work?
I do not know.
I mean, at least it's not like Edmonton and Calgary or like the Coyotes and any other fan base. Or, San Francisco and Arizona. Or San Jose and Vegas.
Yes.
A rivalry that came out of nowhere. I'm still shocked by that.
I mean, that one made a little bit more sense if you actually looked into it, but kind of ish. But looking at it, you're right. Looking at the rest of it, let's see. Maple Leafs could be a win just based off history. For the memes, The Blackhawks, sure. The Wild, sure. The Wild twice, actually. More than twice?
Those should be winnable. But right
Yeah,
now, with
twice.
how they're playing, I don't want to say anything. And I mean, nothing is a gimme in this league.
No,
But for
you
context,
never say "gimme win." And
nope.
those who've been listening every day for the last couple years know that I've been making fun of host of Locked On Devils for coming on to our show and saying that it was a gimme win, and then the Devils lose to the Coyotes. It was the best thing ever. I enjoyed that. I love you guys. I love you, by the way. You're Trey. You're a good dude. Sort of.
Trey's very nice, but we like to throw shade on Locked On Coyotes because honestly, we don't get enough clicks, so we might as well have some fun before we go down with the ship.
I mean, hey, you know what? That is a major point of this show. We just throw a massive amount of shade anywhere we can get because we get so much crap thrown our way as hosts of this show. You're just like, you know what? We're not going to go down with the fight. We're
host of Locked On Coyotes. Wow, that must be as enjoyable as mining cobalt or something. That must be as enjoyable as fishing with your bare hands.
I will say there might be one potential gimme win, not a gimme win, but a potential gimme win.
Are you talking about the games against Toronto? Because yeah.
No, I'm talking about the game against the Sharks at the end of the season.
Honestly, with how poor this team's playing right now, I don't even know if they're going to beat the Sharks. And I know I'm just being cynical. I am just being a jerk because it's fun. But also, like, Robin, this team has lost how many leads in the last 2 games? This team has looked bad.
You're right.
6 in a row.
It's tough. It really is.
And they're going to shed even more talent because, like right now, they are currently still 8 points out of the playoffs. They don't have games in hand on anyone in front of them except for Calgary and Seattle, technically. My original error on that board earlier. Now they are 2-6-2 in their last 10. At home, they're still pretty good. On the road, they're still struggling quite a bit. They'd have to not just get those 8 points and have everyone else lose, but in order to get back into the playoffs, they need to jump ahead of Minnesota, Seattle, Calgary, Nashville, and St. Louis. 5 teams. You're going to need a lot of teams to play bad. Like it's not that far off, but it's a lot farther off than you think. It's time to start exploring the trades and having fun with the end of season stuff. And then get Celebrini because the NHL is going to finally feel bad enough for us to give us a player. He's having a great season, by the way. How do you spell his name?
Celebrini.
I think I got it right here. Macklin Celebrini. Give me his stats because I've been seeing highlights and I watched a game or 2 of his while working at the arena. 26 games, 23 goals, 19 assists, 42 points at Boston College. Thank you. Please and thank you. He also is a former Chicago Steel. Never played with Doan or anything, but because we have Doan in the system, any former Chicago Steel will take. I'm just saying, if you tell me right now, hey, they are not making the playoffs, but they can catch last place and get Celebrini, anyone that's not named Keller, Cooley, Gunther, Mosier, and Doan, I will trade. Anyone not named those guys.
Yeah. I mean, there are a number of other players out there who I think could probably potentially play well. You never know.
Since they're not going to be a playoff team, let's get a top 10 pick. Let's get one more blue chip prospect. Even if it's number 9 or number 8, that should still be a decent pick. Come on. We're officially
all right,
Leah Merrill's right. It's tank season.
You know what? I'm gonna do a quick sim to end the show. A quick sim of the Tankathon lottery and see where the Coyotes finish. You ready?
Yes.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
Celebrating.
the Coyotes move up to 2, and it says they can pick up Ivan Demidov.
I'll take it. I will take it. Listen, Coyotes fans, we had our fun the first half of the season. All right. The next bit of the season, we're not going to get any more substantial arena updates until at the earliest, like June, like May, June. So it's like, okay, let's just go back to our normal selves. Let's tank. Let's get a top 3 pick, and since it's possible, and let's just have some fun with it.
Now, we'll trickle in some arena news maybe once a week for the next 3 months, because apparently we are now officially locked on Arizona Coyotes arena news.
Oh my God, we are. You know what? Yeah, tomorrow we'll do an arena video. So you'll see it tomorrow when you're seeing this. I like how that works.
Yeah.
We're going to do it tomorrow. They're going to see this tomorrow. So that to them, tomorrow is tomorrow, but not tomorrow. It's tomorrow after tomorrow. The day after tomorrow, if you will. Which we still don't have a term for.
Don't hurt my brain.
my brain already hurts. All right, Robin, take it away. I'm going to go to bed.
That's it for today's episode of the Locked On Coyotes podcast. If you like what you heard, don't forget to leave a review, like, comment, and subscribe if you have yet to already. We're available everywhere you get your podcasts, including on YouTube, SiriusXM, and ad-free on Amazon Music. Don't forget to interact with us on social media. We're on Facebook, facebook.com/LockedOnCoyotes, and on X at LO_Coyotes. I am personally at Robin_Leonio. Matthew Jacobson is at the AZ Sports Guy. Interact with us, ask a question you might have, and we might answer right back on a future episode of the Locked On Coyotes podcast. Thanks again, everyone, for listening to today's episode. Hope you guys are staying safe out there. Hope you guys are staying healthy. And don't forget to howl on.